So, Katie, I think I'm going to attempt a run today.
Good for you.
Hopefully the rain stays away.
You know, all in all, I bet you're going to be fine. And
Okay.
even if you get hit, it's like by a light shower, a light sprinkle. So we had the pretty steady rain very early on. You know, we had to drive in when it was at its worst. So thankfully, that is at least starting to wind down. But the problem is we're in a holding pattern right now. We're not really going to break out of this unsettled pattern for a couple of days. So don't expect a ton of sunshine, unfortunately. You know, it's going to take a little bit of time here, and I'll explain why. But, you know, as we go outside, what you're finding is still a little hint of activity on the radar, but far cry from what we had early this morning, which again was some pretty steady rainfall. That has now long since made its departure, actually moving out to sea. But you can't really go by that because here's the thing. Got a large dome of high pressure off to the northeast, and that, because it's so much more powerful than this weakening area of low pressure, is dictating the pattern. So it's keeping our flow very much onshore. That means you're going to keep the clouds, you're going to keep the cool air in place, at least initially, and you're also going to keep the potential for a couple of showers along the way. So things have really cleared out pretty nicely since earlier this morning, absolutely. But, you know, again, it's not all completely clear as we move forward in this forecast for the next few days. Down in North Carolina, by the way, maybe a thunder shower for kickoff, which we'll get to, but all in all, it looks pretty quiet. Now, a coastal flood advisory actually has just gone into effect for all of the area shore points, both in Delaware as well as up and down the Jersey shoreline. And that's just because you, again, have this onshore flow that's helping to push the waves onshore, and we're coming up on high tide in about an hour and change, and between about the hours of 1:30 and 2:30 is when we'll see the wave heights at their, or at least the tide coming in at its height. Now, the temperature change in the meantime is definitely noticeable. We were still relatively mild early this morning, but we haven't rebounded all that much from that point. So now that we're at noontime, and yesterday we were well into the 70s in a lot of spots, yeah, it's a lot cooler. And in terms of how that relates to the thermometer, a couple of spots to look at here: 63 in Atlantic City, 62 here in Philly. Not terribly far off from where we should be. We normally would be at about 67, 68 for a high. We should have maybe 3 more degrees up our sleeves before it's all said and done. And only 50 up at Mount Pocono. Notice the wind flow. These are your sustained winds, and they're pretty noticeable at 21 miles per hour currently. So much so that, yeah, right on cue, the camera starts to shake on you outside Palmyra Cove Nature Park, overlooking off in the distance here across the Delaware, the Center City skyline. At least you can make out the skyline at this point. It was very, very dreary this morning and very much stuck in the clouds. But this shot, what a dreary day at the shore. And notice again, that water is really starting to push up pretty high. So we're coming up on high tide. It's still very windy, especially at the area shore points, and you will notice that pretty much anywhere, but it's at its worst at the immediate shoreline. Now, walking you through the rest of this afternoon, as I mentioned, we've probably got 3 additional degrees up our sleeves, and that's about it. Technically, our daytime high will officially go into the books as 67, but we hit that basically after midnight. So a lot of time has passed. We've had a chance to cool off, and we just don't rebound beyond this point. Scattered showers in the meantime are still out there, but I really think that, you know, for the most part, we should gradually clear out even later on tonight. Now, tomorrow, different story. Saturday, different story. But a quick check on that Eagles forecast for you here for Thursday Night Football. 77 at kickoff. Again, there could be a thunder shower in the area, but I really don't think weather's going to have any kind of major role in how it impacts the game here tonight. Now, looking forward in this forecast, we're expecting the daytime high to reach the upper 70s coming up this Saturday, and then we're all the way into the 80s come Sunday. A nice warm day with sunshine, but that night a new front comes along, and that'll bring in a new round of showers. Guys?